Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am once again building something from 1000's world. If you're not familiar, 1000 or Peter is a artist here on YouTube. He does kind of a graffiti style, elongated bodies. He has all these characters that he makes and is currently working on a trading card game called Primal Guard. It's a Kickstarter that is currently up and has a couple of days left as of me posting this, so you should definitely go look at it if you have not and enjoy playing trading card games. I've been following his work for several years now, and I really enjoy just his vibe. He seems very chill, he seems very genuine, and the artwork that he puts out is amazing. So as I was watching the videos come up for the Primal Guard stuff, one of the things that drew my attention was the variants to the watchers that he has in there. I am from Texas, and across the state of Texas, we have lots of cactus. And one of the characters that he has done a modification to is a cactus watcher. So I thought it would be fun to try and turn one of these blinks that I have into a cactus one. It's going to be a bit tricky for part of it. So today we are building a cactus watcher from 1000 out of foam. Let's get to building. Previously on Much Prop Studios.
I don't know why I did that. This clip is from an earlier video linked below where I built 3 watchers inspired by 1000, and I walked through the full base build in that tutorial. A few months ago, I stepped way outside of my comfort zone and pitched a collab idea with Peter Robinson, aka 1000. He liked the idea, and we had a video conference. Our schedules didn't really line up, but it was an awesome conversation. He's been deep into his card game project, which is currently launched on Kickstarter and wraps up April 5th. While I still have hopes to work with him someday in the future, I can at least promote someone who inspires me to get better as an artist. So Peter, if you're watching this, thanks for doing what you do, man. With the base watcher done, I need to smooth over some of the edges and make the transitions between some of the parts a little better. I ran out of the gap filler stuff that I usually use, and my clay foam, for some reason, had dried out. So I'm gonna try this stuff I've had for a while called Flexi Filler. I covered a good portion of the build, and it was a lot more like Plasti Dip than it was clay foam. It doesn't really sand, and when it dries, it's kind of a rubbery texture. I would recommend it as a sealant that you wanted to add texture to the surface. I ended up covering most of it with clay foam later. Much like putting myself out there with the collab pitch, sometimes you need to try new things and be bold, brave, or even foolish. It may not always work out, but you can definitely learn and grow from each experience. Not having the patience to wait on a shipment from Blick Art Supplies, I saw this at the local Hobby Lobby and it was half price on each tub, so I might have bought a couple. I got 5 tubs of this stuff for under 10 bucks, so I think I got a deal, even if it sucks. We shall see how it holds up. Much like other versions of clay foam I've used, I wet the surface so that it'll easily attach to whatever I'm spreading it to. You can use sculpting tools if you'd like, which is what I initially went with, and then Inevitably, I push those to the side and just use my hands to shape the ridges of my cactus. You could try carving in the texture in the foam with a rotary tool instead, but I use 6mm foam and I didn't really have a lot of depth to carve into without distorting the shape of the watcher. Once I'm done covering the middle section, I let it sit for at least 24 hours to set up and cure. So my verdict for this air dry foam is it's mid. Not the greatest in that it does shrink a bit, losing some of the detail that I worked on. Then there was a little bit of cracks, which are expected with air dry foam. So now I need to see if the clay foam can be sanded. With a sanding drum on my rotary tool, I begin to redefine my lost details. Now, in case you are wondering what the ridges are, cactus have these accordion-like structures called ribs or flutes that allow the cactus to expand rapidly to store water and contract during drought. They also help to dissipate heat from the sun to keep the plant from shriveling up. Cactus are some of the most resilient plants on the planet. We could all learn a lesson or two from the sturdy cactus, like about surviving through tough times, thriving where others can't, being low maintenance, storing your strength, adapting to your environment, and blooming at the right time. On 1000's watchers are these prickly pink pears, which are typically found on cactus variety known as opuntia. These protected little fruits are edible and often have a sweet, refreshing taste like a mix between a watermelon, raspberry, and some aloe vera. They're high in vitamin C and antioxidants. I'm going to carve mine out of a block of 48mm EVA foam, which is not tasty and will not do wonders for your skin. When sanding EVA foam, make sure that you wear a respirator and work in a well-ventilated area. Dust kicks up everywhere, and the last place you want that stuff to go is into your nasal cavity or your lungs. You'll be sneezing up black stuff for days, or whatever color your foam is. It'd be a fun thing to mess with a doctor on, though. With my prickly pears carved, I need to add little bumps to them. I thought about using some more of that clay foam, but I didn't want to have to wait another day for the dots to dry, so I decided to use some dabs of hot glue around the surface. Once it was sufficiently covered with bumps, I superglued it to the surface of the cactus. Cactus don't grow where it's easy. They grow where most things give up. The opuntia doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It takes what it's given and makes it enough. It holds on to what matters, lets go of what doesn't and protects itself without ever apologizing for it. From the outside, it's all spikes, guarded, untouchable, but inside it's full of life, full of color, even producing something as unexpected as a bright pink fruit. That's resilience. Not just surviving the hard places, but becoming something because of them. So if you ever felt like you're growing in the wrong place, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just becoming something that belongs in tough conditions. Two coats of Plastidip, followed by a light misting of some green spray paint for a base color. In the design of 1000's watchers, they appear to wear these masks, so to differentiate the mask from the flesh color of my cactus, I need to darken it up on the surface. I'm going to hand paint on a base layer of dark green for the skin, white for the eyes and teeth, and red for the pears and the tongue. I'm painting this cactus I built out of EVA foam, something I've crafted with my own hands, and every brush stroke is a little step outside my comfort zone. It's easy to stick with what's safe or familiar, but creating and experimenting, trying new materials, new techniques, and new ideas is how growth happens. Like a real cactus, this little foam creation is resilient. It can take a little chaos, a little color, a little experimentation, and come out stronger and more vibrant on the other side. Stepping into the unknown might feel prickly, but that's exactly where we grow the brightest. Even in the toughest places, life and creativity can shine. After the base color, I went in and did some dry brushing of lighter tones to make parts stand out. On the mask, I added a darker shade in the recesses. I'll show you a little example on these pears. I covered them in a red base to cover the green easier because pink would have taken a whole lot of coats and ain't nobody got time for that. As I sneaked up on the color, I wanted to keep adding more and more white to the paint to add additional layers. This color variation makes the object look a little more realistic, as most naturally occurring objects are not a solid color. This technique is pretty easy and allows for all the detail work that we put in earlier to stand out. The last step of this smooth cactus is to give it some spikes. The primary spikes on a cactus are called spines. These are modified leaves that arise from specialized cushion-like structures on the stem called areoles. Some cactus also have hair-like little spikes called glochids to protect the plant. I am punching a hole with a pointed hobby knife blade and friction-fitting small wheat tufts meant for dioramas. Then I trim the ends stems and push out the bunches. The wheat tufts I added as spikes aren't just decorations, they represent protection. They show that even the softest, most creative parts of us can survive the harsh environment when we set boundaries and defend what matters. Life throws challenges at us, and like this cactus, we learn to grow with resilience, to carry both strength and softness at the same time. Each spike is a reminder: protecting yourself doesn't make you cold, it makes you capable. It allows you to thrive in tough places, survive storms, and bloom in your own way, even when the world feels harsh.
And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, I think it turned out pretty cool. It definitely gives the vibe of what his artwork entails. Now, turning a two-dimensional object into a three-dimensional object is not always easy, but once you kind of learn the parameters of what it is your character is supposed to be or have, it kind of falls into place if you think about it. So hopefully you learn something from this and will try and make one of these yourselves, or if anything, make something inspired by someone who inspires you. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. I might be developing a collection of watchers. Reset.
If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you want to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.